Frenchie. What the fuck was the show doing with Frenchie? I feel like sometimes that a character sticks. It's like the Han Solo in Return of the Jedi thing, where like Han Solo had nothing to do after Empire Strikes Back, so he kind of goofs around and shit. Return of the Jedi, the character should be dead. I feel like Frenchie should be dead. I like they aren't doing
right. He escaped. What he puts himself in prison, and he's gone for like, I think it's almost 2 episodes, like an episode
and a half. Yeah, and it's like, why?
It's just it. I didn't understand it either. And Frenchie to me is a character who I enjoyed a lot, honestly. And this is a thing before, because there's obviously a lot of sort of like real world political context that also goes into my
yeah, I know where you're going now. You want to tell everyone what you're referring to before we? Why?
For everybody listening, the actor that plays Frenchie, Tomer Capone, and I actually made a video about this because I felt so strongly about it. Tomer Capone is an Israeli ex-IDF officer who has been spending a lot of time since the genocide of the Palestinians this past year actively pushing pro-Israeli propaganda. He even put on his Instagram like the link to the website of Hamas.com. I cannot believe I had to see it with my own eyes to see that he like actually put the link to Hamas.com, trying to pass it off as like Hamas's real website. And he's done a lot of like propagandizing on Twitter and on Instagram since October for Israel, which is something that has been directly like helping Israel in its genocide, in its justification of its genocide. So all in all, and then that's not even getting into his IDF background. He was part of the something paratroopers brigade, which participated in the war in Lebanon. And you know, there's a whole lot of baggage there. Like there's actually somebody that gave a really cool deep dive of him on Reddit. But for all intents and purposes, he's a Zionist and he's bad news. And I found that out just as the season was starting, and it broke my heart because I really liked the character. And then it just hurt me even more to figure out that the character was just terrible this season. Like he was incredibly poorly written this season.
It's like Eric Kripke knew. He's like, fuck this guy. I'm going to give him the worst script possible. It was that, you know, it's, I think we talked about art from artists once one episode, and it's hard to do because, you know, you get invested in like characters or, you know, people who create music and everything. And you're like, oh yeah, they're humans and they could be shitty. You never know. And it is unfortunate to find that shit out. And I don't know. I think I was like with you. I found out first and then saw the show. But with Frenchie, it's what bothered me so much about it is that Frenchie went through like 3 eras or 3 sections in the show. The first section is this bizarre love story between him. I don't remember the guy's name, Colin or something, who like the guy whose family he killed, which like out of nowhere, you know, and I was like, okay, all right. And he kind of mopes about it for 3 episodes. And it's like, haven't we already been here with Frenchie going over his troubled past? And you're telling me this ex-CIA guy who's probably murdered dozens of people, that all of a sudden now, after already working through this trauma for 2 seasons, he's just going to collapse on this? This doesn't make sense. Frenchie, you're in The Boys. You kill people for a living. It's not like you're not doing this anymore. You're still doing it. And, you know, I get you like the guy and you feel bad you killed his family. Why are you fucking him then? It didn't make sense. It was very odd that it kept going. And then the guilt overwhelms him and he turns himself in. Now, honestly, that was like the one part I was like, okay, well, where is this going? This is interesting. Frenchie is in prison now. Turns out it didn't go anywhere. Didn't go anywhere at all. It didn't mean anything. He's in prison for an episode and a half. Butcher gets him out and he's back on The Boys working on the virus. I was like, what was the point of the prison thing? I mean, from a writing standpoint, what was the point?
Back on The Boys. Not only is he back on The Boys, the worst part is that fucking character arc of him being crushed under the weight of all the people he's killed disappears entirely. Just completely fucking gone. He's back. He's happy working on the virus for the soup. He's happy back on the team. He's happy to be with Kimiko. He's accepted his role on The Boys. And what's frustrating is that, like you said, he'd already gone through that character arc. And I think, what was that season where they introduced Soldier Boy? Season 3? It was season 3 where he'd gone through that character arc of like his troubled past, and like him like having always had somebody telling him what to do and who to kill. Before Butcher, it was that one Russian lady, and before that one
Lady,
Russian
yeah.
lady, it was bad. He'd already gone through his whole sort of emotional characterization, and he'd come out being like, okay, I'm one of the boys, this is what I do, I'm trying to help save the world. Just to have that all be completely undone and set up a completely new character arc for that to be forgotten 4 episodes later. Eric Kripke was not cooking.
It doesn't make sense. Like like he's too good for that. Like I just like I don't know. And you know what? I just listen, did Colin even show back up after he found out about Frenchie? I don't think he even showed back up because I feel like it could have been I keep going back to Frenchie getting killed because that's the only way to save this. Like if Colin came back and killed Frenchie, that would be some kind of payoff at least. So I was like, okay, we suffered through that, but at least it went somewhere. Colin disappears. And I don't know. I don't get it at all. I don't understand it. I expected more from that.
One more season. We're looking at one more season, and it's entirely possible that Colin comes back and is like, you know, like Frenchie meets his end by Colin's side. Like that's still within the realm of reason, but I highly doubt it because they also went ahead and retconned him and Kimiko to like actually being genuine lovers by the end of the season, and now they're together like romantically, which is something they had already sort of like decided they wouldn't do just a season prior.
So you don't like that, right?
Do you like? I mean, I would have liked it if they had committed to it earlier, but I didn't like the whole we're not happening and all of a sudden out of nowhere we're happening. What changed? What the fuck happened?
Oh God, I'm so glad to hear that because I've seen other people talk about this, and like almost universally, people are like, "Oh, I'm so glad that Frenchie and Kimiko together. They're a great couple." I was like, "Okay, I wanted that 8 episodes ago. Like if Kimiko and Frenchie had like working together and like a buddy cop film, it'd be perfect. That would be great. I would love that. But no, it's Frenchie moping the entire time, surviving, and back with Kimiko. So right back where we started. It's like the season didn't even have. I got no clue. And if they do come back, if Colin does come back and kill Frenchie, I'm gonna be mad because that should have happened this season. I don't need to wait a year or 2 to pay that off. Like let's put Frenchie out of his misery for crying out loud.